Hello and welcome to our live talk on developing environmental, social and governance strategies for business. My name is Sarah Kearns. I'm the Online Marketing Officer here at ATU and I'll be your host for this live talk. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to our panel today. I'm joined by experts in the field of environmental, social and governance, so it's great to have the opportunity to chat about the range of courses available that we have here at ATU in this area. So welcome Ivan Toner from the Department of Law, Public Service and Education at ATU Donegal and barrister as well. Hello, welcome Ivan.
Thanks, Sarah.
Fiona Britton, Assistant Lecturer in Sustainability and Regulatory Affairs, Department of Environmental Science at ATU. Welcome Fiona.
Thanks, Sarah.
And Dr. John Scahill, Lecturer and Researcher in the Galway Mayo Department of Building and Civil Engineering. Welcome John.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello guys. So before we start, just some housekeeping. So if you've any questions on anything discussed, please pop over to our live Q&A section of our virtual Open Even platform. And our team are on hand there to answer your questions until 9 p.m. tonight. So this talk will also be recorded and posted on the ATU YouTube channel, making it available to watch back whenever it suits you. So Ivan, we'll head to you first if that's okay. So how a company is managed and governed is crucial when developing ESG strategies. So can you tell us why this is important and maybe what governance factors companies need to be aware of?
Yes, thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. Well, certainly, Sarah, when you look at the various corporate scandals which have occurred, and I always go back to the largest corporate scandal being the Enron scandal in the United States back in 2001. And I always say that, and I always pose this question, you know, given the how severe that scandal was, that surely we would have all learned our lessons in terms of how companies are operated and run. But unfortunately, subsequent to Enron, we've had the financial crash and we've had the likes of Bear Stearns. We've had our own example here in Ireland of Anglo-Irish. And then, even then, back in 2008, you might have thought, well, surely at that stage we would have learned our lesson as to how companies should be run. And again, unfortunately, even in most recent times, we've had the collapse of a number of banks in Silicon Valley. We've had the collapse of the cryptocurrency exchange, FTX. We've had in Europe, we've Wirecard in Germany. So what I suppose, Sarah, what we look for in terms of how companies should be properly run, we look for certain characteristics: transparency, accountability, integrity. We talk an awful lot about ethical behaviour. And what we look at and we try to ensure is that when companies are set up and companies are run, and the executive directors who are put in to run those companies, that they are those companies are run with those characteristics embedded into those people. So we spend a lot of time in corporate governance looking at that, and I suppose history has taught us that there's a very real cost involved when companies are run in an unethical manner. And as I say, we know here in Ireland the huge cost involved with the collapse of Anglo-Irish and the subsequent bailout of that bank and the other banks. So certainly we try to ensure that the way that companies are run, that they are run in as I say, in a transparent and accountable manner.
Brilliant, thank you. So I suppose then in terms of what courses, so if someone wanted to upskill in this area then, Ivan, so we have the MA in Government and IT and Financial Services at ATU Donegal. So can you tell us a little bit more about this? How long has it been running? Why was the course developed? That would be great.
Sure. So the course, we started the course in the academic year 2018-2019, and it was a course that we developed in ATU Donegal in conjunction with the fintech industry. In Donegal, we have a number of fintech companies, both in Donegal and across the border in Derry as well. And the course was developed in conjunction with a number of those firms, because what we did was we went to them and we asked them, well, if you were designing a course, what would you look for in a course that would give us a graduate that you would be happy to employ? And that's what we ended up with this MA in Governance and IT and Financial Services. And I suppose in a way, the great selling point of it is that it is very industry specific. It's been developed in conjunction with industry, and we've had some great success in terms of our graduates being employed within that particular industry.
Oh, brilliant. So the collaboration with industry, that's great for how the course is actually developed. That's brilliant. So then who should actually apply for this course, Ivan? So is there certain like job roles, job titles that ideally would apply for this course?
Sure. Well, certainly the areas that our graduates have ended up in. They've ended up in corporate governance, data protection, but certainly anyone who has an interest and a background in business, law, or indeed IT, they are all very, very relevant backgrounds. One of the great things about the course is that there's quite a diverse background of our students, and what that means is that they can come together and collaborate together from those diverse backgrounds. And one of the things that we do is on the course is we try to ensure that the assessments that we give out to our students, that they allow that collaborative approach amongst the various learners, and that what you're doing is you're tapping into the various areas that they themselves have experience, expertise in. Because what we also find is that not only do they have a background in law and business, IT, etc., but they're also working in these areas as well. A lot of our students are coming from a background where they've already established themselves in particular fields.
Great networking opportunities as well then. Absolutely. For students on the course, yeah. So do you want to highlight one or two modules from the course that are particularly interesting?
Sure. One of the modules, and in fact, it didn't appear in the first iteration of the course, and that was blockchain, or that is blockchain, because what we found was that it was an area that was developing very, very rapidly, and for anyone who perhaps might have heard the phrase blockchain but mightn't be fully aware of what it is, essentially a very good example of blockchain is cryptocurrency, and it's just a decentralized method of storing data. So it's a database that is, rather than being a centralized database, it's decentralized. And the reason why we were keen to introduce that as a particular module on the course was because we found that the areas that the other areas we address on the course, business, data protection, etc., that blockchain has actually acted as a huge disruptor to those areas. So instead of seeing it as a threat, what we see it as an opportunity, and an opportunity of developing a different skill set along with the traditional areas of law and business and IT.
Okay. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier about graduate roles, but can you give us a few more examples maybe of where students have went on to after this course?
Sure. One of the great things about the course is that each of the learners must submit at the end of the course, they must submit a work-based learning project. And what we have found is that it has given us an opportunity of placing our learners with various companies in the fintech area. So say for argument's sake, you are in employment, but you mightn't be in an area that perhaps lends itself to the work-based learning project. We can place you with a company that allows you to complete your project. Now, that's the first part of it. The second part of it is that it then opens the door for you. And that's what we have found with our graduates, that the work-based learning project has actually opened doors, because we have graduates who have been employed in as data protection officers in companies. We have one graduate who got a role in Silicon Valley in the United States, over in California, and that's somebody that we're obviously very, very proud of, that we've been able to get him a great role over there. Other graduates have been able to secure employment within we have an innovation hub on campus in ATU Donegal, and a number have been placed there and subsequently obtained employment there as well.
Brilliant, exciting journeys there from the graduates, yeah. And so then, and just in terms of how the course is actually delivered, is it online, blended? Do you need to be based somewhere close to campus? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So it's delivered 100% online, so you can be anywhere and you can access the course. So it depends on whether the module that you're doing is a 5 or 10 credit module. So every month you will, or depending on whether it's a 5 or 10 credit module, but if it's a 5 credit module, you will complete that within a month. So within that month, that's the only module you have to concern yourself with. So you attend lectures 1 evening per week, and then in the 3rd week of that month, you attend for a block day. So that is one full day. Again, it's online. For the 10 credit module, it's spread over a 2-month period. And again, the same principle, it's 1 evening per week, and then you have a block day as well. So it means that you can continue with your own job if you're in an employment, you can continue with the job while still signing up for this course and taking part in the course as well. So it's great from that perspective that if you are not able to commit to a particular location, then that's eliminated because it's delivered online.
Okay, this flexibility is key there for full-time workers as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks so much, Ivan. That was brilliant. We'll come to you next if that's okay. So would you be able to give us an overview of how environmental science is linked to ESG strategies?
Hi, Sarah. Yeah, sure. So I guess the environmental pillar of ESG reporting means looking at environmental impacts like, I guess, resource depletion, climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, and so on. So some of the real challenges of our time. And I guess this course then ties directly into environmental science. Because as a discipline, environmental science is fundamentally about understanding how our natural world works, what it needs to thrive, and how we can better protect it through sound environmental management practices. So at an organizational level then, in terms of ESG reporting, it becomes really complex because this environmental pillar links to every part of the business. So from securing investment, your procurement practices, marketing, green claims around products, operations, compliance, and so on. So literally every facet of the organization can have an environmental impact and environmental consideration. So what we're seeing now is a mounting pressure on organizations to engage more in terms of managing and reporting and communicating on these impacts. So that means really weaving environmental science principles and competencies right throughout their business.
Okay. And so if someone noticed that they had like a skills deficit maybe in this area, Fiona, what courses at AT Sligo do we have in this area?
There's a number of courses we run online in this area around environmental management, environmental protection and sustainability. So for example, we have a level 7 and level 8 Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management that's run as a 2-year program part-time online. There's a level 9 postgrad diploma and Masters in Environmental Protection. So essentially a student can start at level 7 and work right through to obtaining a master's level qualification in this area. And during that time, then they'd study modules on a whole range of topics around like waste management, water management, energy, environmental systems, and so on, to really get to grips with the full kind of implications of environmental science and what it means in terms of organizational management within their business. Then there's also a postgrad cert diploma and masters in sustainable food systems. And similar to what Ivan had been talking about there, this is a program that we actually designed and deliver for IBEC Food and Drink SkillNet. So it was very much developed with industry's needs in mind, and it looks at sustainability and the impacts and opportunities specifically for those working in the food and drink industry in Ireland. So this is a really interesting program, and it helps companies get to grips with some of the real pressures they're facing right now in this area.
Great. I remember actually chatting to a graduate before who started at the level 7 environmental science and worked their way up to level 9. So it's brilliant to see that progression opportunity as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if someone did want to study the environmental management courses, Fiona, what kind of job roles or what interests or subject areas should they be interested in to apply for the courses?
I guess the first thing is to have a passion for the environment, and a huge interest in the area. But, we get a broad sweep of students. Some are either looking to enhance their current role. So they could be in operations or compliance or finance or, and they see that sustainability issues and environmental science are becoming more part of their role, and they're looking for a formal qualification, I guess, to build their literacy in this area and make sure that what they're doing is correct and that they're, been, guided by best practice. And others then are looking to transition into this area because sustainability, it's such a currency right now. There's huge jobs in this area. So we have a lot of people moving into the sector because it's a really exciting place to be working right now. But in terms of particular strengths, I don't think environmental science is limiting in that way because, sure, we definitely get students that are really strong in kind of terms of looking at numbers and they like modeling and they like auditing and data analysis. But there's lots of room for, we have students with skills in other areas like observation or behavioral and cultural change or reporting and communication. So, environmental science covers a really broad range of skills. So I don't think anyone should feel limited by specific aptitudes because there really are, there's scope for everybody.
That's brilliant then. So kind of everyone kind of can go for the course, Fiona, if they have a passion for sustainability. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
That's great. So can you highlight one or two modules from the course that is particularly interesting or unique?
One that I really like is the systems thinking module that we run as part of the postgrad cert in sustainable food systems. So often in environmental science, you look at, the key principles that I talked about earlier on, like resource management, and we look at climate change. And this is really important that we have this foundation of knowledge, that we understand what's going on, we understand the pressures. But what we also need to build on is the skills and competencies to get us out of the problem that we're in. So how do we solve these really big issues? And systems thinking, this module that we run tackles just that. We're trying to train ourselves to pan out a little bit from, this kind of niche, looking at kind of minute details of things and trying to pan out a little bit and see the big picture. And looking at that in context of our environmental and climate problems to make sure that we're tackling the root cause of problems and not just trapped kind of dealing with symptoms of problems. So it's a really interesting module. It's a little bit different. It kind of challenges students to take a different perspective. And I get a lot of good feedback on this module from students that they respond really well to it. They really enjoy it. And they say it really changes how they think about everything. So it's not just applicable to their jobs. It's kind of apply it to life as well. So I think it's a good one.
Brilliant. Yeah, that sounds like I want to do that one as well. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about graduates and where they've gone on to after they've completed some of these courses as well, Fiona?
Well, as I mentioned there a minute ago, like green jobs are booming at the moment and there's a huge skills shortage. So our graduates are really in demand. The obvious roles that come to mind are specific kind of environmental management or protection roles, either within industry or consultancies or even within the public sector, like in higher education or in county councils, for example. But because environment and sustainability issues have such currency right now, they're becoming much more of a strategic priority for organizations. And that means they're becoming a top management issue. And this means that they're filtering down to every role. Management across the board in organizations are seeing that they're getting KPIs now that they have to respond to, different sustainability metrics. So this is creating kind of a huge demand for employees to have these skill sets and have this literacy right across the organization. Again, I mentioned earlier on, like it's not just management or operations or, the dedicated environmental officer, it's people in communications and people in product development. It really is broad.
Yeah. And then lastly, Fiona, so in terms of like time commitment, how much time would be needed for the likes of these courses? And what is the delivery mode as well? Or the online, part-time? Yeah.
Delivered fully online. Typically, again, depending on the program, but typically it's kind of 2 to 3 contact hours a week online in the evening. And then obviously the self-directed learning as well around reading. But we try to be really flexible. We understand that, a lot of our students are working, they're juggling family life, and it's not easy to come back to education at that point in your life. So we try to facilitate that. And even in terms of the material that we offer, it's a wide range of formats in terms of, online live lectures, but also pre-recorded material and supporting material in a range of formats like videos or podcasts, so that they can even catch up on things, when they're out in the evening with their for a walk with their dog or on their commute from work. So we really try to keep it flexible. And another thing that I really like about the programs is that we try and make it really practical for the students, so that they can base a lot of their assignments on their own jobs, so they get a double benefit from their work. They not only get graded on it as part of their course, but they also get a benefit in terms of their own role, that they're actually applying the theory that they're learning in terms of their own job, and to try and advance their own organisation in whatever particular environmental or sustainability topic or theme that we're looking at. So it's great.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Fiona. That was great. So John, we'll come to you next, if that's okay. So sustainability and how a company impacts the planet is a key component of ESG strategies. So can you tell us why and what key areas companies should focus on?
Well, as Fiona mentioned earlier on, environmental is very clearly very important, and as Ivan alluded to as well, governance is absolutely essential. But in terms of, I suppose, overall sustainability is, as Fiona said, very of the moment. It's really clear how important the challenges of climate change and all of that are, and sustainability is very broad. So I suppose the program that I'm going to be talking about is looking at using the Sustainable Development Goal framework to sort of help people sort of appreciate the range of attributes that are associated with sustainability. I think everyone probably has heard of the Sustainable Development Goals. They're they've been around since 2015. And there are 17 of them, and I think most people have heard of them, but when you dig a little bit deeper, not everyone would probably be able to name them all, which is fair enough. And there's 169 targets or 169 goals or targets with them, and then there's another 232 indicators to measure how we're doing with them. So there's quite a lot in it. So the program that we're talking about here, the CERT on Sustainable Development Goals, is an introductory program at level 6 to sort of introduce people to the 17 lenses through which you need to look at sustainability, because environmental issues are probably the most important, and I suppose they get most of the attention at the moment, because climate change is the biggest challenge we're facing, and that has so many issues that obviously link around to sustainability. But sustainability is much broader than that. It brings in equality, justice, and lots of other targets. So I think it's important to sort of appreciate the breadth of sustainability. And in many companies now, we have been approached recently by companies to sort of develop sustainability programs for them, because they realize that in addition to having sort of the management teams and that, targeting sustainability, they need to bring everyone with them, because it's not going to work if the management just said, oh, we need to do this agenda. Everybody needs to get on board and sort of understand it. So this program sort of attempts to sort of give people across a range of disciplines an introductory understanding to the SDGs.
That's great. So really, you need to have buy-in from your employees, and this course kind of gives them the foundations, is it, John? Yeah.
Yes, it's designed. I mean, we have it at level 6, and it was deliberately designed that we spent a long time trying to figure out what the best way to do this was, and we decided in the end that going to level 6, which is sort of obviously lower than level 7 or level 8, there isn't a lot of jargon in it. You don't have to discipline specific notions, because once you do start doing stuff at level 7 and level 8, it does become very discipline specific. Like, there's a lot of terminology in corporate governance and in environmental science that kind of people might find quite difficult if they weren't in that area. So we have it at level 6. So if you're an architectural technology student, or a nursing student, or an engineering student, or a theology student, you can sort of engage with the goals through the 17 lenses. That's the overall design of the program, is designed to do that.
Brilliant. And how long has this program been running for, John?
We just started it this year. It's been trialed since January. We have a really interesting cohort of people from a very wide background of, even though the course is it's a level 6 program, we have people on the course who have level 7, 8, 9, and we have a person on it with level 10 qualification as well. So it's got a wide appeal to people, because, as I say, most people have heard of the SDGs, and they, you know, when you dig a little bit into it, they kind of there's a lot in them, and I think the important thing about them is to see the relationships, because you know, environment links into so many other things, as Fiona mentioned, and it's very, some of the environmental related ones are really clear, but some of the other ones, social justice, and you know, that environment impacts social justice because you have people working in dreadful conditions because of environmental impacts. So
yeah, okay, that sounds brilliant. So then I was going to ask who should apply for this course, but it's kind of open to everyone, isn't it?
it is, yeah. It's designed. It's designed to be available for. I mean, originally it's designed to be available for students from any program in ATU or outside ATU either, but originally from ATU, and also for anyone who's, you know, working, who's interested in actually becoming a bit more familiar with sustainability in general, because there's some modules on that, general sustainability, and then specifically we deal with each of the SDGs. In a personal context, and also in the context of Ireland, because when you start talking about sort of SDG 6 and clean water and sanitation, people immediately think of sort of, you know, projects in Africa bringing water to, you know, villages. Villages in Donegal and villages in Mayo need water as well, and they're facing similar type of challenges, often environmental challenges, but you know, it's really important.
Okay, can you highlight one or two interesting modules for us, John, on the course?
The program has 4 modules. It's a short course. It's 20 credits. You can do it over a year. The first module, the 4 5-credit modules under 4 thematic headings: partnership, people, planet, and prosperity. So we deal with the 3 pillars of sustainability: people, planet, and prosperity. And we've also included partnership because we think that's kind of the underpinning rule. Partnership and peace are, we deal with that in the first module. The first module is called the SDGs and partnership. And in that you do an introduction to sustainability terminology, the various concepts, the Sustainable Development Goal framework. And then we look in specific detail at SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, and SDG 17, partnership for the goals. So that kind of gives you a grounding, and you have to do that module first, and then you can do any of the other ones. So you could do if you're in people was your thing, or if you're more environmentally interested, you could do the planet one, which deals with the environmental issues. Again, as I said, they're level 6, and there's the focus specifically on the SDGs and the regional application of those SDGs and how they impact you and how you can impact them.
Okay.
And that's the way. That's the way the assignment, the assessment is designed around that sort of. So whatever job you're doing, or you know, if you're a stay-at-home or you're working, you can relate the SDGs to your everyday life.
Brilliant. There's one last question, because I know we're really close on finishing up here. But what is the level of time commitment and delivery mode for this course as well, John?
This course is fully online. It's but one slight different from a lot of online, that there is a lecturer student interaction in it around the assignments. So we decided not to just make it a sort of like the MOOC model where you just go online on your own. For the main assignment, you can do a proposal and you get feedback directly from the lecturer in relation to that. So there is sort of that one-to-one. In terms of time input, 2 to 4 hours per week per module. I mean, you can only do the partnership module first. You must do that so you get into the routine or the framework, and you understand the sort of the way it's laid out. But yeah, 2 to 4 hours. It would depend. If you have a lot of knowledge on it already, you know, you could probably just watch all the materials. It's videos, podcasts, some readings, and some reflections. That's the main root of it. We've also incorporated UDL, which I think Fiona mentioned earlier on. So there are transcriptions available, and you can actually you can listen to all of the material as a podcast.
No, brilliant. That's really good. Yeah, commuting to work, all that kind of stuff, going for a walk, you can listen back. That's great. Very flexible indeed. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, John. That was great. So we'll wrap it up there. So thank you to Ivan, Fiona, and John for being our panelists this evening. There was lots of really good information shared. So if you'd like to watch back, we'll upload a video of this live talk to our Virtual Open Evening webpage, and also to the ATU YouTube channel. So if you're interested in doing any of the courses that we chatted about this evening, visit our course search section on our Virtual Open Evening platform, where you can watch back academic videos and learn more about our courses. And then if you have any questions regarding this talk, head over to our live Q&A section, and our team will be on hand to answer questions until 9 p.m. this evening. Thanks, guys. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.